Welcome to the Fountain of Vitality podcast. I'm your host, LaMont Leavitt. In a world overflowing with noise, confusion, and distraction, we're here to cut through the clutter and explore bold, unique paths to a longer, healthier, and more vibrant life. Through candid conversations with business leaders, wellness experts, industry pioneers, and innovators, we'll uncover insights to help you discover your own personalized, unique approach to thriving. Tune in, trust the compass of wisdom within, and find your fountain of vitality. Hi, welcome to the Fountain of Vitality podcast. I'm LaMont Leavitt, and we're excited to talk to and listen to some thoughts from Nathan Gwilliam. He is in the past he owned a company called adoption.com, and his latest project, and doing a great job with a company called PodUp, and his for podcasts, and his services company is Pod Allies, that those that need extra help getting their podcast launched. Anyway, Nathan, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on your very first episode, Lamont, or your very first guest episode, I guess.
Oh, you bet. I'm glad to have
I
you.
feel very honored. That's going to be one of my claims to fame someday.
Yeah.
When you're huge and famous with your podcast, that I was the first guest you had on.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you. We have known each other for years, and you've given us a lot of marketing advice and direction on our companies we've had in the past. And today, I want to get into the Fountain of Vitality concept of that work-life balance. How you fight through that as a CEO, entrepreneur. You're trying to bring something to market. You know there's a need, and you're filling a gap. And sometimes you have to be your biggest cheerleader and push through the little things. How do you do that? Also maintaining your health, your personal life, and all those other things, and stay motivated when the clouds aren't always beautiful at times. So,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Those are some really good questions. I think that there's a false perception out there that every day a CEO has to keep everything in his life perfectly in balance. And I think that expectation is impossible. And I think it causes a lot of unnecessary stress. And I think it could actually hurt a CEO from doing some of the things that are really the most important. I'll give you a couple of examples of this. And you know what? Before I give you the examples, I want to give you a quote. This is from Russell Brunson. Russell's one of my mentors, I think one of the best digital marketers, one of the best entrepreneurs of our generation. He's the co-founder of ClickFunnels. And he stated that his most remarkable life moments have occurred during times of extreme imbalance. He suggests that focusing relentlessly on a single goal or project can lead to significant breakthroughs. Russell emphasizes that the importance of understanding your core purpose and the impact you're making even during challenging times. Okay, so this extreme imbalance has helped me a lot, because as an entrepreneur, that's kind of how my career and my life flows. It's kind of like a pendulum. So let me go to those examples I was mentioning before. So for example, I have 3 daughters, and my wife and I are actually empty nesters right now. And our 3 daughters are all grown and doing really cool things with their lives. And last week, all 3 of my daughters were in town. My oldest daughter, her husband's in the military, and she's staying with us while he's doing some training and testing. My middle daughter was serving a mission in France as a missionary for 18 months, and she just came home from her mission. And my youngest daughter is doing some crazy things this summer, where she's doing sales in New Mexico and going to Africa, doing volunteer work. And she was home for the week for my daughter, to support my daughter that was home from her mission, who was speaking at church. And so I had all 3 of my daughters home last week that I haven't had for more than a year and a half. And so what did we do? We made time every single day for family time. I took my family out to dinner numerous times and out to desserts. And, we went to the zoo, and we did all sorts of fun activities. We did some church stuff and went to the temple, and we made time for family time every single day last week. And normally I couldn't do that. But because it was this time where all three of my girls were home, and obviously was there with my wife as well, we made time for family every single day. We There was a place called Bear World um, near our house where you can go, and they have like whatever 40 different bears that are there, and you can drive through the park and see all these animals, and we took the afternoon off and we did that. And um I had extreme imbalance last week with family time, and it kind of sucked for work because I got way behind, and it caused a lot of stress for work because there were people depending me on things and projects I needed to get done that didn't get done because of my extreme imbalance for family last week, right? And that's just the reality. That was the right thing to do as the CEO. When I had all my girls there, I needed to make time for my family. And now this week, I'm getting caught back up.
Yeah.
I worked till 11 o'clock last night, I got up early this morning to get to work. And it's the reality of this week. I've got to be focused, and I have a $30,000 a month client that is waiting on the proposal for me. I've met with them 4 or 5 times. I've met with the chairman of their board, and they've asked for a specific proposal for them to convey to their board, and I got to get it done. I have another huge client that we're doing 4 podcasts for, and tomorrow I have to pitch. I have to give her the designs for all 4 of her podcasts, and I just got to get it done, right? And so I'm in extreme imbalance this week because I've got big work projects that to provide for my family, I've got to get done. And so um I think the first thing that helps me is acknowledging that it's okay to have extreme imbalance. I don't have to be perfectly balanced every single week, every single day, because if that was the case, I couldn't have done family time every day last week, or I couldn't get these mission critical projects done this week. And so it's okay. It's important that I set up my schedule. I try to get up at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm trying to be into work by 6:30 as best as I possibly can. I have a team in India. I only have 5 team members in the US. I have 30 plus team members in India, and they're 12 and a half hours off. And so mornings my overlap time with them. So it's important that I make my schedule to utilize my time as effectively, get up early, spend my time with India. And then my ideal balance is if I can get out of here by 4 or 5 at the latest from work, and then go hit the gym, right? And keep that balance in place. Um, I try to keep in balance spiritually. Every morning I do scripture study before I do anything else. I love my audiobooks. Um, One thing that helps me keep balance is I have things where I say I can't do this until I've done this. So I can't do my audiobooks until I've done my scripture study. And so that helps me. I can get my scripture study done every day in the morning, with that having a set time. Um, I'm involved in my church, and some responsibilities with my church, and those are scheduled on set days and set times. Um, I go to church every Sunday, and those are scheduled at set times. So I guess scheduling and putting the important things in my calendar helps me keep balance spiritually. As far as time with my wife, I try to do date nights, have that set times and days. So I guess going back to that scheduling really helped me keep that balance in place. I don't know. What other questions do you have for me on
Yeah,
that?
well, you mentioned we've talked in the past about how being an entrepreneur and being having the drive to bring something to market takes an element or a degree of hyper focus,
Yeah.
and I've talked to a lot of different CEOs over my life, and one of the biggest challenges they have is maintaining their relationship with their wife and their kids, and understanding what their needs are, and not making them so secondary that the business is priority one, and then they just fall off the plate. So any tips you can give to all those CEOs out there or executives that are like, man, I'm kicking, I'm slaying it at work. but I do it so much in that hyper focus, I'm not able to time slice or pendulum swing to the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, so the first advice that I give is it's okay to have hyper focus. Sometimes CEOs think that they have to be perfectly balanced every day, like we were talking about, and then they're not successful CEOs and they don't get it done and they fail in the business. Most entrepreneurs fail. And and there are times when a farmer has to harvest the field. I live here in rural Idaho, and when it's harvest season and a big rainstorm is about to hit, man, it's panic time. Like, everybody is out there and they're pulling in all their friends and family, and
Yeah,
they're running 24/7 around the clock to bring in that harvest because they know that they're gonna lose their crop if they don't bring it in before that storm hits. And there are times as an entrepreneur where, like, if you don't get to profitability, you can lose the business.
yeah,
And then you lose your ability to provide for your family. Like, the reason we do this business is so that we can provide freedom and flexibility for our families. And we can send our kids to college, and we can let our youngest daughter go to Africa on a volunteer trip.
yeah.
Um, and we can provide retirement for our wives, and like, the we have to have a successful business, and there's times where that presentation just has to get done, and you've got to work till 11 o'clock at night to get it done. And if you tell yourself you have to be perfectly balanced and leave work at 4 o'clock every day, you may not be successful as an entrepreneur. You may not do what it takes to have the success. Now, there's times and seasons in my life where I could leave work every day at 4 or 5. Right now, I'm in startup phase, and we've been working 5, almost 6 years on this business, and we've put $5.5 million into this business, and we have 35 plus people that are dependent upon the revenue from this business for their families and their livelihood, and we
Right.
have 48 investors who've put that $5.5 million into this company who are dependent upon me. I have a
Executing.
stewardship and a
Yeah,
responsibility to them to do a good job, and so I'm not in a time and season where I can leave every day at 4 o'clock, right?
yeah.
I have a responsibility to my family and those investors to get this profitable. Now, the good news is, after 5.5 years, or almost 6 years, this should be our first month that's profitable. I don't know yet. But I'll see how it comes out by the end of the month. We have 9 more days to finish this out, but
Awesome.
it's looking like this is going to be our first profitable month. And as we get to profitability, um, that's going to free up a lot of things for us, and that's going to um, give us a lot more flexibility where maybe I don't have to hyper focus every day as much as I have been. But
Yeah, that's okay. It's a journey, man. There's times where, as a CEO, you even question your own sanity. Like, why did I take this on? Or uh,
seriously, I don't know that I have another one in me. Like, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built and sold 3. This is number 4. I don't know that I can do this again. It is. I'm serious. I'm not joking.
I
Like,
know, I
this has
know.
taken more out of me. And when I was younger, I could operate on less sleep. And right now I'm operating on probably 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and that's not healthy.
Yeah,
And I've got to get to the spot where I can not have to push it as hard as I am
yeah.
and have been.
I'd love to hear just a little bit of strategy that you have on that for that CEO that is hyper focused, and when he is hyper focused when he doesn't need to be, because sometimes what happens is they become so honed in on their business that
Yeah.
it's not as critical for a week or 2 or 3, and they need to dial it back and give it to their own health, to give it to their family, and be able to swing back successfully. How how have you learned your pendulum shift? How do you recognize that thing inside you that makes you realize, hey, I don't need to hyper focus on this week. This can wait till next week.
Yeah, that's right. Um, so there's this great guy that I know in my life who takes every Friday off, And I love how you do that. You set a great example of that. You schedule it and you put it in your schedule. I think that's what has helped me the most. So schedule date night. Schedule 2 hours every night, right? That is family time. Do dinner with your family if you can. Do time where you talk if your wife likes to sit and talk, schedule time to sit and talk with your wife, right? Put it in your calendar. If you have young kids, when I had young kids, the best thing I did is and I did so many things wrong, but one of the best things I did is I scheduled time for daddy daughter date nights, right? And scheduled one-on-one time with the kids. Schedule time for the things that matter most. If reading scriptures is important, put it on your calendar. If relationship with your wife is important, put the date night on your calendar, and when every single day are you going to make those deposits. Put in your calendar to send her texts every single day, right? At whatever it is, 11 o'clock every day, just put it on your calendar so you make sure it happens. Stephen Covey, when I was a kid, did something that really influenced me, and I'm sure most of you have heard it, but um, he had a bunch of sand, a bunch of small rocks, and a bunch of big rocks, and he had a jar. And he told the people, okay, put the sand in first. Okay, now here's some little rocks. Now put them in. Now put the big rocks in. And there was no room for the big rocks.
Yeah.
And then he had him try again. He said, okay, put the big rocks in first. Now put in the little rocks and then shake it up, and they fit in between the big rocks. And he said, now put the sand in, and the sand fit, and everything fit because he put the big rocks in first. And that has resonated with me for my whole career. And so that's why I schedule things is I make sure. And if you look at my day this morning, like every single minute has been scheduled this morning, but I got the important things in, right? They were if
Yeah.
if you kind of let your day happen to you, it's stressful because you waste your time on important things. But if you own your schedule and you say, okay, what are the most important things, right? Um, I'm going to take half an hour with my wife every morning, right? And I took a little bit of time with my wife this morning. Like, put it on your calendar. Um, I'm gonna I'm going to read my scriptures. Put it on your calendar, right? What is it that matters to you, and make sure there's a spot marked off for it, and then let the other things fill in around it.
Well, one of the best things for me, Nathan, has been in our core values. We have it's called Midas, but the M in Midas, for our company and OV Health, is means to an end. And the whole concept is we can't let our business become so important that
Yes.
it gets to the point where it takes away from what we're trying to accomplish in the first place, which is a better life, a better family, better relationship with our kids and our spouse. And
And with God too.
for me and God, and I wanted to put that in my core values so I wouldn't forget and be just like yet one more .com out there, just driving and driving and driving and wearing himself out and all his employees out. And I take that very seriously because I want them to have a great relationship with their families as well.
Yeah, I agree. Do you give all of your employees Fridays off?
Yeah, yeah.
Your whole company?
Yeah, the only
Oh,
exception to that is
so amazing.
if there's a convention or something where they've gotta work that
Right.
and then whatever. But I mean, that's the goal, and we make exceptions, if there's a fire or crisis or something. But I think people's emotional energy and drive is so much better on Monday morning if they've had that one more day to do all their doctor visits and all their big things. And we can still grow as a company, and we can still do great things. And it also creates a recognition at the executive level that we realize that people that are working hard for the business Monday through Thursday, and we're going to give them Friday so they can take care of their personal stuff. And then what I've found is our Monday through Thursday is very efficient. People drive hard, they work hard, they do their very best, and just minimize their water cooler time. I tell them, if you got water cooler time, we're not going to do that on Monday to Thursday. You save that for Friday with your families. And it's sometimes it can be kind of a hard drive during those 4 days, but people are more emotionally healthy with that one extra day. And then of course vacations and holidays when they need to. But it works. It takes a little bit of that's a whole different podcast. I'll talk about the strategy behind moving from 5 to 4 days and how it takes a few years to kind of dial that in. But I'll be sharing that strategy on a future podcast. On how,
Yeah, I would love to learn more about that. That would be so amazing if I could
yeah,
do something like that. The thing that's out of balance in my life right now is the health side, and I definitely need to improve that, and I need to get into the gym every day, and I need to sleep more. I'd love your advice for me on how I can make that happen amidst my busy schedule.
yeah, I'm still learning myself, and for me, it's a constant learning thing. And as I get older, I find I have to dedicate just to 1 or 2 more hours of sleep, and I didn't used to have to, but now I find that when I do, it changes my effectiveness during the day, changes my attitude, changes my health. I don't get sick as often. So it's just like what you said. You got to put it on the calendar. You have to put sleep on your calendar too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Another cool advantage of having this intense imbalance sometimes where you get a company going, you then have the freedom that comes from owning your company. Last year, I took my wife and one of my daughters um, on a trip, and we have an office in India, so we visited the India office and spent time there and did some fun things with the team there. And we also went to Maldives and spent a long weekend in Maldives. It's a beautiful island chain
Awesome.
off the coast of India. And then we went to Thailand for several days, and we were able to we were able to have that freedom together, that very focused, intense imbalance for a couple of weeks, because I did the intense imbalance to get a business going, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
next month we're going to India, and I'm taking my wife and two of my daughters with me, and we're doing a safari, and we're going to an elephant sanctuary, and we're taking Indian cooking classes, and we're going to have lots of really fun adventures and moments together that come as a result of what we've invested in the business, right? We're
That's
able to have
great.
freedom and intense imbalance family time too.
That's great how you're handling that, Nathan. When you think about a pendulum and how it swings back and forth, because we're business owners, we swing it hard right to the left. That means we gotta swing it hard back, the other way.
That's right.
And that's with the family and personal, and you gotta get back and take care of that at the same equal intensity.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's right.
That's fantastic you're doing those things. That's great. Well, Nathan, thanks for your time today. I love chatting with you about this and seeing how you manage this work-life balance, and thanks for being on our first Fountain of Vitality podcast. As we will continue to explore more with more people, more fascinating ways of surviving in this world with our health, both vocationally and with our physical health and emotional health as well.
And thanks for your advice for me. I'm going to keep working on especially my health part. I definitely value that longevity, and hopefully I can improve and get to a spot where I can I can learn from your podcast and implement those things I need to.
Uh, Thank you. Thanks, Nathan.
Okay,
Thanks for joining us today.
talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Fountain of Vitality podcast. Head to fountainofvitality.com for more episodes, insights, and resources. Remember, your health is yours to own. Take charge, focus on what you can control, and keep exploring what works for you. Always be your best self, lift others, and trust the compass of wisdom. Until next time, stay vibrant and take care.